Coming up in just a second, we're going to be diving into if the Vikings should sign Akiem Hicks. Yes, Akiem Hicks, former actually Viking killer when he was with the Chicago Bears. And then also TJ Hockenson. We just got to show him some love because he has completely turned his season around. And then also, I got 3 players on the Vikings defense that have been stepping up and helping out Brian Flores and this crew. That is all what is coming up here in just a second. What's going on, guys? Welcome in the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman with the Vikings taking on the Denver Broncos this Sunday. I just want to kind of go over some of the latest news and rumors around this football team. And I think the number one biggest rumor right now is Akiem Hicks. Will Akiem Hicks, could he be joining the Minnesota Vikings? Well, he is looking for a team. And that's what Jeremy Fowler tweeted out yesterday. He said free agent defensive tackle Akiem Hicks has had discussions with multiple teams and interest remains high, but he has not made a decision whether to play this season. So that's incredibly interesting because honestly the Vikings could use some need at that defensive tackle spot. Obviously there hasn't been anybody who's really stepped up. And we also do know that Akiem Hicks, he had interest in the Minnesota Vikings in the past. Like, we understand that Akiem Hicks, like obviously dating back to his time in Chicago, he was that man in the middle. He was that run stuffing, defensive tackle where you had to double team him on every single play. Well, Akiem Hicks, if he's on the market and the Vikings haven't really had that guy to step up from that defensive line spot, could he be the option? Could he be the solution? Well, funny enough, actually, dating back to September, Akiem Hicks tweeted this out. He said, "That Vikings love has been nice all day." He had a ton of Vikings fans tweeting at him saying you should sign with the Minnesota Vikings. Said, "Always had fun strapping it on against you. As a competitor, you hope to receive the respect of your opponent. The respect of the fan base is a very nice bonus." And I'll tell you what, Akiem Hicks, you have my respect because those Vikings fans know he absolutely dominated the Vikes with the Chicago Bears. Actually, in 10 games he played against the Vikings in his career, he has had 8.5 sacks, which is pretty impressive considering he is an interior defensive lineman. But he was kind of the cornerstone for that Bears defense when they had Khalil Mack, when they had other edge rushers. He was the one that opened it up for those guys. And yes, the stat sheet is not going to blow you away over the past couple of seasons. He has kind of taken a step back. Obviously, he was in and out of the lineup in 2021 and 2022 with injuries. But yes, he is not the same guy that he was back in Chicago, but he is still a very serviceable defensive lineman, and I would honestly love to bring him in to Minnesota, mainly because I love the tenacity he plays with. If you guys remember, he was a guy, he would get up after every single play. He'd be talking smack to Garrett Bradbury. He'd be talking smack to whoever the Vikings' interior offensive linemen were at the time. Just have that overall swagger and just that confidence that he would bring to a Vikings defensive line that doesn't necessarily have it. And I kind of mentioned it earlier. We haven't seen anybody really step up for this defensive line unit. I love what Jaquelin Roy's done in his limited reps this year as a rookie out of LSU. I love Harrison Phillips. He's actually made a lot of big, timely plays. But just to add another guy to this rotation, I think it would really help out Brian Flores. Jonathan Bullard, he's had a couple key plays as well, but a guy like TJ Smith hasn't lived up to the hype that I thought he would, and Kairos Tonga hasn't really lived up to it either. But these are the 5 kind of main rotation guys for the Vikings defensive line. Why not add Akiem Hicks to it? Well, I'll throw it your guys' way. Would you sign Akiem Hicks? Give me a Y for yes or give me an N for no down in the comment section. I'll make this the pinned comment on today's video, so if you get hit with a YouTube ad break right now, sit back, let it play, scroll on down, and answer today's pinned comment. I would sign him. Why not? It's Akiem Hicks. Why not bring him to the Minnesota Vikings? I mean, I remember any single time the Vikings would travel to Chicago, Akiem Hicks would absolutely game wreck that game. I would love to see him in purple and gold. So I'm all in on signing Akiem Hicks, but also you guys can let me know if you disagree or agree down below. Now, let's do it. Let's show some love to TJ Hockenson, the highest paid tight end in the league. And I'll tell you what, I was extremely critical of TJ Hockenson at the beginning of the year. So I just wanted to show him some love on today's show. This to kind of start it off where Patrick was wrong. I was completely wrong about TJ Hockenson at first, but also for right reason. Hockenson started off the year, he had a ton of drop passes. He had that big-time drop. If you guys remember, it was 28-24 against the Los Angeles Chargers. Vikings had the ball at the 2-yard line. Kirk Cousins threw Hockenson just a little in-breaking route, went right off his hands, ended up being an interception where if he catches that ball, Vikings probably win that game. So he did struggle at the beginning of the season, But as of late, he's been fantastic. He had 120 yards in the first half last week. And overall, his season stats, like, he has been really, really balling out. He's first in the league in yards amongst tight ends so far, 4 touchdowns, 71 catches, and he's really been that safety blanket for Josh Dobbs. Like, obviously, with a new quarterback coming in, you got to have that reliable go-to guy where, yes, Josh Dobbs doesn't know the full playbook. He doesn't understand all the reads yet. But if you gave him kind of that, that safety blanket guy from that position, I think it could really help. So I was wrong on TJ Hockenson. Just wanted to give him some love on today's show because, listen, man, he has been completely balling out this year. And it was actually pretty cool. He had this interesting quote about his quarterback, Josh Dobbs. He said, he's a Tennessee guy. He's in Nashville a few times, and that's where I train in the offseason because there's actually a report that came out that him and Dobbs had a connection from his working out in the offseason. He said, whenever he texts us and asks to throw, we all make sure to make it because he's one of the better quarterbacks, works better with it, and with a better ball. And listen, that's awesome. Hearing that from Hockenson, already had a respect for Dobbs dating back to this offseason. So just a pretty cool kind of tidbit on the Josh Dobbs, TJ Hockenson relationship there. So TJ, again, formal apology from myself. Even though you did struggle at the beginning of the year, I just want to say I'm sorry. You've been absolutely balling out this season, especially, as of late. You've really turned around this Vikings season, really, helped Josh Dobbs become the player he is today with the Minnesota Vikings. But if you guys want to join me down in the comment section, show TJ Hockenson some love. Type his jersey number. Type those 87s down below. I want to see the comment section just flooded with the 87s because I think there was also a lot of other Vikings fans that were critical of TJ Hockenson as well. So show him some love. Type his jersey number down below. Coming up here in just a second, I got 3 players who are absolutely balling for the Vikings and really helping out Brian Flores and this defense. Make sure you guys stay tuned for that. But I got to first give a huge shout out to Prize Picks, today's sponsor of today's edition of Vikings Now. You may be asking, what is Prize Picks? Well, it's daily fantasy made easy. And how do you play? All you got to do, you pick 2 or more players, you choose more or less on their projected stat types, and start rolling in the cash. This is the lineup I'm rolling with this weekend. I'm going to go C.J. Stroud. Ride the hot hand down there in Houston. I'm going to go more than 1.5 passing touchdowns. Then the Eagles-Chiefs game, they got a little fun little promo here. It's Travis Kelce and Jason Kelce, more than half receiving or rushing touchdown. Then I'm going to ride with Jalen Hurts. Hopefully he gets a little push-tush this weekend. I'm going to go more than a half a rushing touchdown for him. Then CeeDee Lamb. He's been killing it the last 3 weeks. I'm going to go more than 86.5 receiving yards for him. But if you guys want to ride with me or you guys can fade my picks, make sure you guys do it at Prize Picks. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. If you guys use code CLNS, they're going to give you a first deposit match up to $100. Link for that in the comments section and description of today's show. So let's break it down. 3 players for the Vikings defense that have been absolutely balling out, especially over the past couple of weeks. Just kind of want to show some love because, listen, this defense has turned around, and there are 3 guys that really stand out to me. And the first one being Josh Metellus. Josh Metellus is safety for the Vikes, kind of that do-it-all player. He can play in the nickel, which he's been doing a lot this season when they do go 3 safety sets. Akayleb Evans, the second-round rookie out of Missouri, he's been playing really well. And then we finally seen Andrew Booth Jr. Finally, he's been getting some reps as of late. When we'll start it off with him. Booth, in 69 coverage snaps this season, he's been pretty damn good. Only allowing 2 receptions, 18 yards, 1 PBU, no touchdowns allowed, and no penalties, I think is the biggest key. Because if we talked about, what he did well and what he did poorly coming out of college, he was extremely grabby in college. So to see him have absolutely no penalties so far this season and only giving up a 50 quarterback rating, I think that's pretty good. And just having a guy like that step up in a position of need for the Vikings is just absolutely huge. So shout out to Andrew Booth. Wanted to show him some love as first, but man, stats don't lie with him. Not a big sample size, but so far playing really well. Now this guy, he was great against the Saints. Akayleb Evans. We've always known Akayleb Evans, great corner in the run game. He can come down, crack down, make those big-time tackles, but the coverage for Akayleb Evans has been great the past couple of weeks, and he was great against the Saints, going up against a very good Saints receiving corps with Rashid Shaheed, Chris Olave, and Michael Thomas. There's no chumps over there in that room, and he had an 82.1 coverage grade, 39 defensive snaps, no receptions, no yards, and he had a PBU. Akayleb Evans, keep doing your thing, and this Vikings cornerback room can really get it going. But I do want to kick it to this with Josh Metellus because we've seen this especially over the past month. Brian Flores is blitzing these safeties left and right. We saw it for Harrison Smith for a little bit. He was the safety that was coming off the edge. It actually started off this season as Cam Bynum was the safety he was bringing a lot. Well, now it's Josh Metellus, and I'll tell you what, his rank among safeties in terms of, just overall like edge production, I guess you would say, he's great. I mean, first in pressures among safeties, first in QB hits, first in hurries, second in pass rush win rate at 15.5, and he's tied for third in sacks. Overall, he's kind of that Swiss Army knife for Brian Flores. Like, you can drop him in the box, you can drop him in nickel, you can drop him in a deep half, like whatever it may be, Metellus can't fit that. It was funny, dating back to training camp, like he raved about this guy, and it's cool to kind of see, like, Brian Flores talking so highly about a guy, and then he obviously ends up playing well during the year. So those are three guys. I thought they've been balling out for the Vikes. Wanted to show them some love, but also there's no person, I think, that has made the biggest impact on a team this season besides this guy. Like, we went from Ed Donatello to Brian Flores, and the defense has completely changed without making too many additions on that side of football personnel-wise. So I want to show Brian Flores some love. Type the Skull Flows down in the comments section. Spam it up. Show Brian Flores some love down below. As always, you guys can give me a follow on Twitter at Pat Sieps. Trying to up my Twitter game a little bit. I'll make sure to put that link for you guys in the comment section and the description of today's video. And also, make sure you guys are subbed. We're going to be going live an hour before kickoff this Sunday night in Denver. Maybe the Vikes can extend their winning streak to 6 games. But thank you guys so much for watching. See you guys next time. Skol Vikes.